show, sit down to chat. New ideas spark, they can't be that. Podcast fun, fury so grand. Laughter flows, no need for a band. From life stories to wild speculations, each episode brings joy, makes you relaxations. Glaziar gamble, we're off to explore. Laugh and learn, our show is forever. Incredible theories, side by side. Joyful moments we'll never hide.
My kid wants these, but then I see them. And I'm like, I'm the one who has the job, right? She just gets to have fun all day. No, it's my Capri Sun. Oh, just kidding. She gets all of them and I get one. How's your day today?
Oh, that's going all right. Got a couple things done. Got a couple things done around the house today.
I did the dishes after work.
Yeah, I gotta do the dishes still, but I did like the litter box and a couple. Got my couple loads of laundry done. Did the cat's litter box. That's about it.
Nice. I mean, litter box is the big one. If I do the litter box, that means it's like I don't have to do anything the rest of the day.
Yeah, that was the big one. I was waiting. I probably waited a little bit too long.
Like I could vacuum, sweep, maybe mop, dishes, laundry, and be like, still feel like there's more I could do. I could do none of that and just the litter box and be like, yeah. I've done enough today.
Buddy, you can't join the podcast this week. There's not a special guest.
Today's special guest is Ham Bone.
And that's really like the bullseye because he gets to grow things.
And now, Mr. Bone, is that Ham Bone is one word, or is it Ham last name Bone?
And my middle name is Esteban Julio Ricardo Rodriguez II.
That's just a middle name. Oh, jeez. Anyway, now that we got proper introductions out of the way, let's get into this week's episode of the Glaziar Gamble. Welcome, everybody. This is the Glaziar Gamble podcast. Another episode this week talking about Daredevil, episode 8. We were talking in our texts back and forth, and I had said that while I was watching it, I was like, they had been building us up the whole time. Like, that's a sick moment. That's a cool cameo. That is awesome. Look at him getting his suit back on. He's getting out there. Daredevil's winning. Just to kind of tear you down with this episode. Obviously,
in fact, just about this episode, the people who directed episode 1 also directed 8 and 9. So we just watched 8. So it's a continuation. The bullseye aesthetic from episode 1. They really wanted to get their hands back onto him. This episode,
sure,
but also like incorporate the story that's like in the middle. So like it's very much like a burger, like a sandwich. Kind of with like the writing styles. You've got like the people who started it off, let them run the story they wanted to run, and then now they're finishing it off. I'm sure has something to do with probably the action and the action quality and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, I liked that we got Bullseye back. Spoiler alert: Bullseye's back. But no, they like when I was saying they tore us down. There was multiple characters that are starting to either turn on Matt or make the viewer question Matt or a situation. Like Heather seems to be on Kingpin's side, obviously, and she even mentioned that she's against Daredevil and in the same breath as Muse.
Right,
which I think is weird.
They're there for their own benefit, not to save me. When in reality, he did show up to save her.
Right.
So
not only that, but like if he didn't show up at all, what's the result? You're dead.
She probably either gets like, she's dead.
She would be dead. She would be dead. Like Muse had it completely timed out. And he sped up what he was going to do once he heard the sirens. You were dead if Daredevil doesn't show up. Now, she also where this character is supposed to be, very emotionally smart to the point where, she's a very renowned therapist, right?
Right.
The way that they communicate, including helping couples, the way that she was communicating with Matt, as well as obviously Matt, the way he was communicating with her, but even her in response, I was like, they've either shown that what Muse did with her has completely changed her as a character, or they've completely misguided us on who she was. Because I don't know, their relationship obviously feels like rocky now. Matt can't be Daredevil and be with somebody who hates Daredevil.
Right.
Like, that just can't
And also,
work.
it's like, I think it's also to show like I think they sped up that a little bit in regards to like how Heather views, not necessarily
she has such
Daredevil, but like
strong opinion already.
Matt like has been like, it's not just like the switch. I think they want to show that it has been going on like this for a while, and like Matt has been very like shelled up, like like holding back a lot back, and he's been very distant, and he's obviously like hiding something and not explaining
Even
things.
his coworkers are saying that.
Right. And so I think they want to, like, with all the dialogue and stuff, to show that like it's not necessarily Heather's change. Like Matt also has been probably the biggest catalyst to this in general, and that's just withholding and like internalizing and stuff like that. So
and it's kind of going back to what Hector told him in the beginning as well, where the balancing of Daredevil and your regular life, if you want to put it, isn't one or the other. He has to adopt it as like part of him.
Right. Yeah, and Cherry even mentioned that too, I think, in this episode, where he's like, you can't go back to that. Like Cherry doesn't want him to go back to being Daredevil.
So now, is this them leading up their way of Matt publicly admitting he is Daredevil? Or is this their way of, like, I don't know how they keep foreshadowing this, providing this information for Matt, and like this coming to this potential revelation of these have to be the same life. How do you combine the two of them without letting at least everyone close to you? Like, you have to, what's her name? Is it Kirsten or is it Kristen? Who is his?
Karen Page.
No, the Cherry and
Kristen. Yeah.
Kristen. Yeah.
Kristen or Kirsten, one of the two.
So you got to let her know. Cherry already knows. You got to let Heather know. Kingpin already knows.
Karen knows.
But like all the people that you want
Poindexter
to be a regular part of your life, that are a regular part of your life already, good or bad, opponent or not, they kind of like have to know who you are.
Right.
Otherwise, you're trying to pretend Daredevil's not a part of you. So I'm not sure how they plan on moving forward with that. Obviously, telling Heather I don't think is enough. You also have to have, with the parallels that they've been running, you kind of have to have Kingpin tell somebody too.
Right, and maybe, I mean, it's kind of like this trio of misinformation between Wilson Fisk, Vanessa Fisk, and Poindexter or Bullseye. This like trio of misinformation, and so like Bullseye knows. Vanessa knows because Wilson knows, and then obviously like Bullseye knows. So like all three of those people know, but like you're right, like Heather and Kirsten, like, or Kristen, like they should be a part of that too. I mean, like, I don't know if she would really let him like run a firm if help run a firm if the public knew.
Yeah.
So like that almost like kills his career probably. When most vigilantes and stuff would just go to She-Hulk because she represents vigilantes. So in that area.
True.
I guess. Or maybe she's in California. I don't know. But.
So with the way that this episode went, for those of you, here to talk about it, obviously listen to it. Matt has he's basically juggling all these parts of his life, his job as a lawyer, his vigilantism,
relationship,
his relationship, basically everything.
Foggy's like mourning over Foggy, like all of it, like even the past is coming into
his
like,
one-on-one with Kingpin, like everything is kind of all merging to this like chaotic point of it's either all gonna fail or everything's gonna go well. Like he's got to figure this out in every aspect of life, and everything seems to be going the wrong way. Poindexter called him to visit in, and he visited him in the prison. Bullseye got him going. He smashes Bullseye's face, which loosened up a tooth, and Bullseye used a tooth, his own tooth, to break out of prison.
through someone's eye. I'm pretty sure he shot it through the guy's eye.
Yeah, he spits it through the guy's eye to, immobilize it, incapacitate
him. Right
him.
after he unlocked one of his bands.
Mm-hmm.
Like the guy on yeah.
Then he uses his one arm to immobilize the other guy, break out with his other band, and walks out. And immediately goes to, because Matt's discovered now by this point that it's actually not Kingpin who set Bullseye on Foggy, because Foggy knew he was going to win this case. Do we know what the case was for?
No, it was a witness protection case. I would assume, because he was calling the one guy, reaffirming him that like you're gonna be okay, like we'll keep you safe. But then Bullseye was on that guy, so I'm guessing it's something to do with someone that knew something about Vanessa's operation. So,
but the reason Kingpin wasn't lying when he said he had no idea what Matt was talking about,
right?
And that it was actually his wife that called the hit on Foggy with Bullseye. And so Bullseye, after he got out of prison, was on his way to kill Kingpin. Do you think that was just his own personal vendetta? Do you think that was also his wife? Or because
no,
she wanted him dead.
He probably thought Wilson was behind it all. He probably thought Kingpin was behind it all.
Oh, sure.
Because he wouldn't know any better. He would say, "All right, he had Vanessa do this for me."
And so Vanessa was the one that had Bullseye moved to general population in prison as well instead of isolation.
Right. She probably wanted him dead.
She
so
did.
That her
yeah.
secret died.
Because Buck called her to say or the police officer called her, and then Buck let her know he actually Benjamin Poindexter is escaped.
Right.
And
which
that's
I'd be just freaking. I'd be like, I need to go.
It's also their one loose end. It seems to be clearly this one loose end that needs to be tied up, and then they'll feel comfortable again in their legal situation. But with him running about, they could be outed, and whatever Bullseye has, whatever that case was, why ever he killed Foggy, whatever is going on with that, clearly is what would, get Kingpin removal of mayorship. Vanessa would get arrested. Clearly, it would kind of destroy their whole life. So we better find out in the next episode. I don't want to wait a whole season off.
It's pretty interesting that I understand that there's street level, there has to be street level villains and heroes and stuff. But if he went through a trial, wouldn't you think that he would be classified as a raft worthy?
So that's what's interesting to me is we have two people that in the comics, for the most part, are considered some level of super.
Right.
Kingpin is considered a level of super in the comics due to his size is pure muscle, to the point where the muscle is so strong that puncture wounds, including a bullet to the face, can actually be stopped by sheer thickness of muscle and skin.
Right.
And then you have Bullseye, who has Hawkeye similar abilities to Hawkeye.
Lethal with everything.
Right.
Lethal with any object.
So closer to Ronin, I guess. The Ronin.
Right.
But you would think, so if Hawkeye, so does that mean in the MCU would Hawkeye not be considered a super? He's an Avenger but not a super?
He was. He went to the raft. He was stored in the raft for he was at the raft for Civil War.
So you think Bullseye would not be in prison, he'd be at someplace like the raft.
Yeah, that's what I would have assumed.
And it's weird to me, and then Kingpin, the way he is, technically would be I don't know. It's really strange to me that this superhero show is so street level that they make these characters that are clearly super seem like they're not.
Right.
But as we were explaining in the episode, Bullseye shows up at this ball that they're having, after Heather throws a hissy fit for, again, completely overreacting. I understand he was late and it's a big deal, but my God, he is a lawyer. I know he was lying about that, but that whole scene bothered me as well. I was like, their situation is pissing me off. Like, I want them to kind of break up just because I'm sick of it.
Sure.
Which is weird because, if you've watched our other episodes, I've talked about how and I think she's like the most important character in the show. All the things collided, and now she kind of feels like this extra drama for Daredevil that he could easily remove.
Sure.
I don't know. It's weird to me. It's her character now I'm confused about, so I hope we learn some more. But, so he shows up, and Bullseye shows up, takes out some guards, and from the upper deck, because, there's security everywhere at Kingpin's place, he tries to assassinate Kingpin, and Matt jumps in front of the bullet, and the episode ends with him lying on the ground,
His heartbeat
bleeding,
slowing.
his heartbeat slowing. Kingpin and Vanessa are trying to get out. Bullseye is in shock because why wouldn't he just shoot again? He's so well trained in such like a murder machine that something like that I feel like wouldn't usually cause him to stop. But the fact that it was Matt,
Yeah, I think he also has a little bit of respect for him too, just in their fights and stuff.
Right.
Like he probably didn't expect that.
I mean, I didn't expect it.
Right.
I didn't think Matt was going to be I thought somebody was going to take the bullet. I did not think it was going to be Matt.
Sure.
I honestly thought it was going to be Vanessa. But, yeah, and then Kingpin looks just as shocked as Poindexter.
The splatter on Kingpin's white coat looked just like the splatter on his painting, like
The one on the wall in his dungeon.
It looked just like that, which I'm pretty sure he got from beating the shit out of Bullseye.
It also
or Matt
looks
or
like
something,
the
too.
background of the hand.
Sure.
I know that's not what it is, but that, like, in my eyes, when I
Everyone
first
was
saw it, I was like,
talking
was that
about
the
Muse.
hand?
Everyone was talking about Muse and like, oh well, if only there was an organization that could resurrect people. And I was like, I mean, the hand can, yeah, but they've made no references to the hand. I don't know why they.
It's interesting to me
yeah.
that we've had multiple characters, even in the MCU, that were connected to the hand that we are kind of imagining don't exist.
Yeah, they squashed them in like the first couple seasons of Daredevil, so like,
right.
yeah,
I don't know. Now we don't know what's going to happen next. Obviously, Matt's not going to die. So it's one of those you can show his heart slowing down. But first of all, we know there's a second season.
right.
So
and then I've seen some pictures from it. Like, let's just say Bullseye's alive and well. I mean, like, he's just. I'm glad. Like, if they were to kill him this season, they would have killed him already.
sure.
So like, they've got bigger plans for him.
Well, you should. When I think Daredevil, I think Kingpin and Bullseye.
Yeah.
Like, even when
Right.
you're reading the comics, it's like when you read Batman, you read Joker. When you read Spider-Man, you read, Venom, Green Goblin.
Right.
But when you think Daredevil, I think you should think Kingpin and Bullseye.
Yeah. Elektra
As well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like they're just kind of a package deal. So not using Bullseye would be a mistake.
So I just like that he's this recurring character, and they didn't like one off him because like he's so cool, and I think a lot of people love to see like him and his fighting style and like how he can do things.
Yeah, and he's a very good actor.
Right. Yeah. So yeah,
I think
it's pretty cool.
we've mentioned him before. I think we even talked about it in a previous episode of this show. In X-Men Origins, there's Agent Zero. And a lot of people thought he was cool, but cheesy, corny a little bit. Just but overall, lethal, accurate shooter, all this stuff, extra
Right.
athleticism. Bullseye, I feel like, is what they wanted Agent Zero to feel like.
Right. Agent Zero was a more grander scale because it was part of this like massive team.
Yeah.
Not just like I'm a like an ex Spec Ops agent that can do these things, I guess. So
Yeah.
very like Punisher-esque, but the bad version. It's very Punisher. It's like a bad Punisher, which Punisher kills people, but
Right.
Bullseye kills people. So
I don't know. I feel like if I'm picking between those two, I'd probably put my money on Bullseye.
right.
I feel like
Yeah, just the range and
Punisher
accuracy.
doesn't have it, and Punisher's not like super.
Right.
So Matt has a chance because he has his hearing to counteract it.
Right.
But Punisher just has his own training, his own personal, like he's stealthy himself.
Yeah, he doesn't give
He's
up.
deadly
Like, he's got
himself.
that.
But a lot of what Punisher has, Bullseye already has, and then he has that superness to help him.
Accuracy, right?
So
And the metal spine, like and the spine. So
he killed a guy with his tooth.
mm-hmm.
He took out his own tooth after Matt smashed his face. He said thank you because at that moment his plan all along. So he's clearly also incredibly smart because his whole plan all along from calling Matt in was I need him. So he probably had a plan A, plan B, plan
get
C.
a rise to him.
But one of his plans was clearly get him to smash my face into the table. Because like Matt could have surprised him and accepted. Then he probably had a different plan. Like, okay, now I'm going to actually have to work with Matt. But then when Matt declined, then it was like, all right, now I have to piss him off. And then he's like, if I don't piss him off enough to get physical, I'm going to have to figure something else out. I'm going to have to get into a fight in Gen Pop.
Yeah, and I think that Matt had so much like disdain for him that like he wasn't even willing to hear like I'll tell you everything, but I need you to represent me. Like that's what he was trying to get. He's like, listen, I know you kick ass as a lawyer because I've seen you do it, but like I'll tell you everything, but you need to represent me, and I don't think he could represent him because you killed his best friend. Like, so you're a serial murderer. There's no way that Matt would like just do that for information. So
one thing this episode did completely, because we talked about this last week, that completely solidified this take was episode 7 was the climax, like penultimate episode. Not penultimate, I guess technically this would be the penultimate, but 7 was the climax. This 8 was the falling action, and then the resolution is going to be episode 9. I feel this way every time we watch a Marvel show, is how can they tie up all the things I want to know?
Right.
Like,
but they don't have to.
They don't have to.
Right. Because you know for sure there's more to it. Like there's more.
But
coming.
Don't diddle me and then hang me off the edge. Don't get me right to that edge and then give me nothing. Right?
How many lines are there? Like how many storylines are there?
So there's Heather and Daredevil. There's Heather and Matt. There's everybody with Matt and then everybody with Daredevil are like two separate things. So you have whatever number you come to, you just double it because you have to add Daredevil to it.
Right.
So I feel like there's like at least a dozen things I want to know. Obviously, as soon as you tie up the Matt plus Daredevil line, it ties everything else.
Sure. And for sure they're not finishing Bullseye's story. Like they're not finishing Bullseye's story.
No, they can't do no.
So like Bullseye's still kicking strong. So there's gonna be no like resolution to that.
Oh,
I mean you could get some information, but go ahead.
I wanted to ask you, do you think the prison the chief of police is gonna die? Because the cop that one of the cops that Kingpin kind of the cop that he
Powell,
goes through,
the other guy. There's like Powell who's the white dude, and then there's the
black dude with the really pretty eyes.
Right. Yep.
Yeah, that dude. Where he went through like his history on what he did as a cop. saw the chief talking to BB.
Right.
Why would they show that unless something's going to happen? Is he going to do something to BB or is he going to do something to the chief?
I mean, it's gonna be crazy because I think they're going to. I would love to see them. I would love to see Kingpin like ban vigilantes, which he put the vigilante task force, so like they're in charge of taking care of the vigilantes, but like to ban vigilanteism, but also like have vigilantes under his control, like under his jurisdiction.
And then
I don't
Matt
think
can
that can
fight it
happen.
in court, saying, where do you draw the line? Because does me
Right.
jumping in front of a bullet make me a vigilante?
Right.
And he can argue
Yeah.
with him about, if you want to ban vigilantes, then you should have been shot because me stopping that was vigilantism.
Right. Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I think the chief of police doesn't have like a feature. Like, there's no point in necessarily bringing him back because you want to like keep the corruption going into season 2.
And if you give BB all the information he has, she can make
Right.
it public.
Right.
And she's already on the inside. We clearly know she's very against Kingpin.
She's on the inside, but for Kingpin. Like, she has to. She's on the inside. She gets all this information, but like, it's going to hurt her in the long run if she doesn't. Obviously, like, she'll know the information, but she won't be able to report on that said information.
Right. Until she
So-
has enough where she feels like she'll be protected with the results.
Right.
Because if she puts out all this information and then ends up dead or missing,
Right.
so if she gets enough information, she can put it out where.
Sure. And she just had all the information on the cops, I guess. That's what she was asking about. Like,
But it's Fisk's
did you
task
okay?
force.
Yeah, did you okay the task force, or were you okay? And he's like, no, like,
I had nothing to do with it. It was all Fisk.
right.
And then he was going to give her the background story, all the red tape through every single one of those task force cops. So that's a huge storyline you got to tie up. You got Matt and Heather, obviously. You got what's Kingpin and Vanessa.
Vanessa,
They're obviously she killed Adam.
right. She killed Adam, and then if she finds out, if Kingpin finds out that she put the hit on Foggy, and that's the reason, like, Matt's back in Kingpin's life, like,
Right.
he's gonna be like, this is the one guy that I hate, like, that constantly messes with me, and you just invited him in.
It's the one guy where I feel like I could lose.
Yeah.
He
Honestly.
feels confident. He probably feels confident against Punisher. He probably feels confident about, any of the Defenders. But as
Right.
soon as you throw Daredevil in there, he's not comfortable with it.
Yeah.
And
Right.
not to mention Daredevil has a connection with Echo.
Yeah.
So it could be anything with that as well. He just don't involve Daredevil and Vanessa involved, which is part of why Vanessa's freaking out. She's doing this all behind Kingpin's back, and if Bullseye dies, it dies
even
with
the Bullseye
him.
stuff. Yeah. The Bullseye stuff, the Daredevil stuff, like,
It all
all
dies
that
with
is-
him.
yeah, it all dies with Vanessa too. I mean, that's the thing. Like,
Right, so the
'cause
writers couldn't
that
kill her
Vanessa,
for that.
now that Matt knows about Vanessa, like, it also all dies with Vanessa. So
I
Yeah,
saw
I don't
the scene of him sliding in to dance with her was already
Right.
turned into a meme.
right,
But I think
if the blind guy looked at me like that while he stole my chick, I'd punch him too. Or something.
right, yeah, like imagine a blind guy makes eye contact with you while he steals your woman.
Yeah.
Oh god, yeah, that made me laugh, but I'm interested to see what's going to happen with all those characters, obviously, but there's so many characters where my opinion of them changed dramatically. Oh God, dramatically. This
That's a good
episode,
word.
I know, right? Dramatic or dramatically?
Right. Yes.
Is that going to be my next Baldur's Gate character?
Dramatic.
Dramasticles. Oh God. Anyway, sidetrack. Nerds. Um,
Nerds.
but I feel so differently about Heather, Vanessa, Kingpin, Bullseye. Like every single one of them between episodes 7 and 8, everything's different now. Everything's different. And BB, I
think my
thought BB
opinion
was
on-
like changed, and now she's not. And then little fuckboy, whatever his name is now getting cocky and evil.
Daniel.
Yeah, little Dan
So
Pin.
the like I like the charismatic bad guy, and so like I like Bullseye a ton because he's got that like confidence.
He's got the
but,
fuck
like,
you attitude.
Yeah, and I really like Buck. Like I think
I like
Buck's
Buck,
a great
too.
character.
I
I
like
think
Buck,
he's such a good character.
Yeah,
So-
I've also my opinion even of like Kirsten. I feel bad for her,
Yeah, she's
and I feel
just, like,
bad for
left
Cherry. Like,
Right.
but I feel the worst for Kirsten. Like I feel like she's getting left hung out to
out.
dry.
She's giving both of them so much.
She
like-
is
She trusts them both so much, and she's not getting that back, so it's tough.
right, and she's like
Um,
Heather's in his life because of her. Like everything that was going well was because of she was that support system, and he's just
Sure.
kind of like throwing her. I feel so bad for her. It's so bad.
Yeah, especially because she also lost Foggy too. Like
Right.
she was close with Foggy.
And she still has to make a living. Like you're
Right.
you're invading her income by not helping her.
Not
Or
helping
she's
with
having to
these
put in the
cases.
work of 2 lawyers and getting paid for one.
Right.
It's like from a personal level, from every interpersonal. Yeah, her character is becoming more like I want her to be more prominent because I need her to get something. I feel like she's
Sure.
gotten the raw end every time.
Right. You know what? You know where she would be great?
Where
She would be great with Jennifer Walters.
that's true. Like
She'd be really good with Jennifer Walters.
co-counsel as a
yeah.
lawyer.
Mhm.
100%. I could see that. And then her and Jen can talk about Matt.
Right.
I think that's great.
Yeah. That's my like thought process when it came to like lawyers and stuff. Like
And I do really like
They'd be
her,
really
so more
good
of her
together.
would be good. She's been really good, and I feel like she plays that character well. But that's another one of those characters. You don't really like think about it, where you're like, oh yeah, I can't believe what's going on with the main cast, Kingpin and
Right.
Charlie.
right.
But then you think of like these side characters, and so much is happening to them, which all comes back to in my mind the I don't know the best way to phrase it, but even with the reshoots, overall this show isn't getting as much love as I thought it would get. And as I watch each episode, I'm surprised that more people aren't excited about it, because it's giving everything that Marvel fans complained about. This show is giving them those opposites of like, here's something new, refreshing, entertaining. And every week, the people I do see talking about it, they have a couple like good things to say, and then they kind of like compare it to the Netflix show and why they dislike it. And I've just kind of come to the conclusion that Marvel fans are happiest when they're complaining. That's
Yeah,
kind of the internet in
honestly.
general.
Honestly,
But-
like my favorite thing is it's such a difference from like it's such a difference from like other MCU projects outside of like Deadpool, like in regards of just like gore and like just the fighting and like the swearing and like
so
you're
much
getting
more
a
real.
you're getting such a more real show that it's like, well, this doesn't feel like a comic. It doesn't feel like it obviously feels like a comic because like you got these comic book characters, but like it doesn't feel like a comic. It feels like a genuine like show and not just like, oh, this is just an excerpt of the MCU. It's like this is an actual
And I think
suspenseful Law and Order. Like I don't know.
right.
I love it. I mean, I love it.
I love
the
it too.
difference. Like the swearing is like like even just Matt going "fuck you" at the end, like
To
getting
Bullseye.
absolutely pissed off. Yeah, so like that's such a like you're not going to get that from anything. Like
Right, and the relationships that they're showing, like the different opinions that you have of certain characters because they're portraying that emotion, the real conversations, you can pick a side and be like, oh, I totally understand, and kind of like feel that upset that the character's feeling. They're making it, they're, like you said, the swearing, it's not like it's constantly swearing, it's just they're swearing where in reality,
that's where
most
someone
people
would
in that
swear,
situation
right?
would swear. Not everybody, obviously. Some people might swear more, but most people I feel like would swear in a lot of these situations where it happens. A lot of people would get this violent. It's like he has to be that violent or he's dead.
Right.
And it just, all that realness, it's kind of like the only thing that pulls you out that makes you realize this might be a superhero show is, in my opinion, like him swinging. When he was like using
Sure.
his grapple to swing, and like they had like the one little cut scene of him going over the buildings. That makes it feel like a superhero show. Like just that one little scene reminds you this is a superhero show.
Right, and
then
obviously
everything
when he
else
gets
happens.
suited up and he's fighting too, then you're like, all right, this is like we're in it.
Right.
We're in the superhero action.
If
But
you
like,
get rid of him in the suit and him gliding, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference between the show and like a regular Law show. It's
Right.
just like, I don't know. I think they did really well. She-Hulk didn't do enough Law.
right,
The only thing that Daredevil improved on what they did. The only thing Daredevil now adopting from other Marvel shows that have been popularized, as long as episode 9 doesn't have a giant kaiju fight, I think they've improved on what a lot of other shows were complaints about other shows. So as long as, no kaiju fight in episode 9, they've improved on what She-Hulk's issues were. They've improved on what Moon Knight's issues were. They've improved on a general need of what people want from the MCU in terms of violence and reality and maybe not so much pew, 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 pew. I don't know. I think this show is giving everybody...
I think you can also. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
you're good.
I think you can also. You have the opportunity to do what, in my opinion, the best MCU movie did, and that was leave us on a cliffhanger. You have the opportunity to do that because there's a season 2. You know that the storylines aren't all going to finish. Like Infinity War had to finish its storyline in Endgame.
Right.
So like you have the opportunity to do that.
And it doesn't have to be a credit scene cliffhanger. It can be
Yeah.
an actual
Right.
end final
And you
scene.
got to wrap something up. You got to wrap a couple things up, but like you don't have to wrap everything up. Like you have to leave the direction open to be like, all right, well then they're going to handle this in the next season, but like what else are they going to bring into the next season too? So
I think if you plan to have Daredevil show up in other projects, you can't end
which he is. I mean, he's in Doomsday. So
before season 2 comes out.
I don't know. I think season 2 will be out
So
because they're already filming that. And
if
that's
you
about a
have
year out,
Daredevil coming into anything before season 2 of Daredevil comes out, I don't think you can have him have everything be bad. But if Daredevil's not going to be in any other project until season 2 is finished, I think you could end season 1 at complete disaster. You could have him and Heather break up. You could have his coworkers decide that they are either quitting or moving to a different firm. You could, or like maybe even lose like all of his clients or multiple clients. You could have Kingpin kind of win and Vanessa like Bullseye disappears.
You also have to think like if they want to go from a storyline standpoint, like you have Thunderbolts coming out in 3 weeks after the finale, so like you could directly reference that. Like there could be more shit going down.
Well, I mean, and you're setting yourself up for a cameo in episode 9. He's defenseless in a hospital bed. He is going to be a defenseless man in a hospital bed, able to be visited by the mayor, Heather, Punisher. He could get visited by Jessica Jones or Luke Cage. He could get visited by
I mean, Rand Enterprises would, if he found out, they would just pay for everything.
He could
They
get
would just
visited
pay
by
for it.
Poindexter under disguise. He could get visited by BB. He could get like any of these characters
Karen?
could show up and talk to
Karen?
and he
Karen
can't go
Page?
anywhere. What like he's gonna be lying in so any exposition the writers want done, any event you want, any tension you want to build can be built because your main character is going to be defenseless.
You could even have him like be in not like a coma state, but like almost a coma state where like he's just envisioning these people coming in, but
Yeah.
they may not actually be coming in. So you get Frank Castle sitting at the edge of the bed being like, you pussy, I can't believe like
Come again? This
Right.
time in my ear?
you could have Poindexter show up and been like, why did you do that, man? Like I had a good shot. I wasn't gonna miss.
You
What's
know
gonna
I don't
miss?
miss.
Right.
Look at Foggy.
Right.
That's that would be brutal. But I don't know how they're gonna end it. I'm excited. I think there's so much. Again, like we said, there's so many loose ends, and it could go anywhere. And because there's a season 2, they don't have to give us jack shit. Again, I think just my final thought on it would be the same as I said earlier, where if he's planned to show up versus not planned to show up in another project before season 2 tells me what they should or shouldn't do. Otherwise, like if everything's a disaster and then he shows up in Thunderbolts.
Well, I don't think he'd show up in Thunderbolts, but also like Thunderbolts is happening in New York.
Right. I was just using
And Hell's
Thunderbolts as
Kitchen-
my example.
Right. And like Hell's Kitchen is right off of New York. Like
Right.
so like
But if he showed up in that when everything's supposed to be a disaster, it
Yeah,
wouldn't
that-
feel right. You'd be like, wait,
Right,
I thought you were
right.
just shot and Foggy's dead. And
yeah,
like,
you're right.
but if he, it
He could
just
be
wouldn't make
directly
sense.
affected by it without us knowing too. Like it could reference that. It could reference like even on like a screen in the background at the hospital, it could be like CIA summit next month or something like that. Like it could reference, and he doesn't necessarily wouldn't show up in that, but like more shit can happen to him in that like that world. More shit can happen in that world,
Right.
I guess. So
I think my final question for you is the for fun question. Dream cameo in the final episode.
I think
Credits or actual. It could be
I think
either.
Jessica Jones is like the obvious choice.
Is that your dream though?
No, and like I'm just thinking about it right now, and I think if we like say hypothetically he's in this like coma state, not necessarily a coma state, but like he sees all these people like walking in and talking to him. Electra.
Sure.
I think Elodie Young as Electra. I think I would like to see that. I think that'd be my dream cameo. Obviously, my dream cameo would be Finn Jones as Danny Rand, but like
Sure.
that's that. Not yet. But no, I think Jessica Jones is the obvious one. But maybe like an Electra thing, basically being like, "Yo, like we messed things up because we didn't talk about everything. Like I was part of the Hand, and you were Daredevil, and like we were enemies but lovers, but like maybe she's like, don't do that to Heather, like don't do that to her, I guess. Like,
So
don't do what
I
we
have
did.
3. I think my number 1 would be She-Hulk.
Sure.
Again, I don't think that's going to happen. This is just my dream. I would love for her to show up. This seems like Marvel's making it seem like we're supposed to pretend she doesn't exist. It's weird.
Yeah.
But the other 2 would be Echo or somebody from Echo.
I mean, Echo just kind of got her ass kicked by him. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know,
Right.
like they had that interaction, but she got whooped, and then
I know. These are just what I want.
right.
And then lastly would be Kate Bishop. Like
Sure.
somebody like Kate Bishop. I don't see any of those.
Right.
But they've already had somebody from Hawkeye in this show. They've had somebody from Miss Marvel in this
They've
show.
had 2 people from Hawkeye in this show.
Yeah, 2 people from Hawkeye. Somebody from Miss Marvel. they're connecting from other shows. So I think obviously most likely is Jessica Jones or Luke Cage. I think what would be most fun for me would be She-Hulk, because imagine him getting outed as Daredevil, or him some crazy spin on why him jumping in front of the bullet is his fault because he let Poindexter out that day, and like ends up having to go to court, and then she defends him. I don't know, it's just something like that could be crazy.
I think it's also, if he's like in really bad shape, it makes zero sense for Karen not to come back
She'll show up. Yeah,
too.
she hasn't been there in like 6 episodes,
Right.
so she'll show
But
up.
like, you're gonna lose another friend. Like, you're gonna lose another friend without like,
The
I don't know.
the speech I'm most excited to hear in this final episode, the one I think I'm going to need a box of Kleenexes for, like this one, because I think tears will be flowing, is when Cherry comes to visit him.
Sure.
I think Cherry's going to come and keep it real with him, talk to him. I think there's a chance that Cherry tells him, "I'm done helping you," and like,
Sure.
"I'm here for you, but this is like, I'm not here for you anymore because you got, so next time the bullet's gonna actually finish the job."
Yeah.
And I think
They can't do that. Yeah.
yeah, I feel like Cherry's gonna have like a heartfelt, sad moment. And I'm just
Sure.
I'm ready for it. But
Or Karen, like Karen could do that too. Like Karen
could,
could,
yeah.
she was being so cold to him, and like she could like break down essentially.
That could be a good way to get Kirsten involved to let her know about Daredevil.
Right.
Is when she gets mad at him for actually going to visit Poindexter, he can admit to her their connection and why he did.
Right. Right.
And then she can make a comment even more so, like, then even more you knew you shouldn't have gone and seen him.
Right.
But all of his actions were what helped him piece together that it was Vanessa.
Right.
So I think that this is going to be one of the best Marvel show episodes that we've seen. And I think so far this show has been getting better every episode. I said that in like episodes 3 and 4 and 5. And it's still getting so good. It is such a well-written show, well-produced show. Well acted. It's just so good. It's really nice to have when you don't have a lot of time for shows because of whether work, parent, whatever your life is. When you don't have a lot of time for shows, so when you decide to pick one or pick two and they're this good, it feels like you made such the right decision. And this show has been such a good choice to watch.
I just thought of something. Everyone thinks the Jessica Jones cameo would be, like her and Matt, right?
Yeah.
But what if it's Buck with a file on Vanessa, and he's like, "Miss Jones, the mayor requires your assistance," and then hands her the file to like investigate Vanessa.
That'd be interesting.
Like, because she's like a private eye, right? So
I would like that because it makes another twist on Buck.
Right.
Because obviously we need to know what his previous job was and how it connects him to this line of work, why he's so deadly as well.
Right. So, I don't know. I just thought of that off the top of my head. But would she know? Like, she knows he's obviously bad, so, like, would she? I don't know.
Then you're creating a whole... And that Buck's just another example of another loose end that they don't have to tie up, but it would be nice.
Right.
Yeah, I don't got anything else to say except I'm fucking excited.
Yeah, it's been great.
If you're still here, please remember to like, subscribe, all the things. Can't wait for the finale. Make sure to come back next week when we're talking about the finale. After that, we got Thunderbolts, maybe some random stuff, but it's going to be great. And can't wait. Just want to let you know you do look phenomenal. You look dramatically great today. GG.
GG.